But let's look at the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Lidia, which has strengthened into a hurricane, is now a Cat 2 hurricane with winds, as of the latest advisory, of 100 miles an hour. This is moving east-northeast at 15 miles an hour, that pressure at 971 millibars. As far as the concerns, the one city that we're watching pretty carefully, Puerto Vallarta, under a hurricane warning. Popular tourist destination, but it's this western coast of Mexico that actually has been dealing with not just one, but two tropical systems. We had Max that we also were dealing with. But look at Lidia. Lidia right now a Category 2 hurricane. The official forecast as we work it toward the western coast of Mexico still calls for a strengthening storm. We probably aren't going to see it reach that major hurricane status, which would be Category 3, but in Puerto Vallarta, still on path to make, if not a direct landfall there, very carefully. In fact, or very close. Sayulita, Mexico, for example, is about 27 miles northwest of Puerto Vallarta. We've got hurricane warnings in effect there. But look at the surf. I mean, it's grabbed the attention of a lot of surfers today, the ones that are a little better at surfing, because these higher waves, not something you typically see, but with a hurricane just off the coast, that's going to increase the wave action. But the weather really goes downhill for western Mexico later this evening and tomorrow. We've got the possibility of flash flooding, mudslides, especially in the higher terrain and across the country of Mexico. We've got storm surge threats, too, right along that western coast of Mexico.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.